A German Autobahn high-speed test, an efficiency test, opening BMW logos, splitting BMW logos, a lounge interior with curved display, and why am I allowed to damage this big double kidney? This is now to come with Thomas and Autogefuehl with the all-new BMW iX. Is it the best full-size electric SUV out there? Let's find out. Let's go. You see in the background why this region in Germany here is called Bavarian Tuscany, and this one here is a Bavarian-built electric SUV, the all-new BMW iX with a huge double kidney in the front. Yeah, there's a very special feature there to come. This one here has also the option of this Titan bronze look, so this color nuances that are also continued all over the vehicle. The headlamps, standard LED, optional, which you can also see here, the laser lights with extended high beam function, and definitely a very strong stance here in the front for the all-new iX. And they have a new concept called Shy Tech. For example, here in the middle part they have the sensor, and it is hidden in a way that you don't see that it's a big sensor. By the way, if you look very closely, you can see here that the heating lines inside the double kidney, and this is actually this here, so it's kind of like an inside layer, and this one then keeps the sensor from being frozen all over the place, so also in winter times it keeps clean and does the job. And the fill-in for the wiper fluid is right here underneath the logo. The length is at 4,95 meters or 195 inches, so it has the length of a BMW X5. It is as flat as a BMW X6 and has the wheels of the BMW X7, and these are the optional 22-inch wheels, really massive. It comes standard already with 20-inch wheels. Then optional 21, also included in the sports package, which is also here equipped with this vehicle with some sporty accentuations, and then optional the biggest ones right here. And you can see here the roof line falls a little bit like here for wind efficiency, and also there's kind of like a recess right here also for wind efficiency, and then the big iX logo right there. The door handles are on the inside kinda, once again also for wind efficiency. And what range figure will we score? This will be super interesting, I can promise. And suspension-wise, a base iX would come with a steel suspension. An option, you can get the air suspension here on both axles. At the moment, the bigger battery is already combined with that one, but later on it will also be available with the big battery, but then we'll go for the base suspension. And also rear axial steering that reduces the turning circle by about 1 meter, because then the rear wheels are turning in the opposite direction than the front wheels. That gives you more agility, fakes, so to speak, a shorter wheelbase. In the rear we can see a very clean design. The tail lamps are very, very slim right there, and it doesn't look that bulky because, again, as I said, this recess, which is there also for wind efficiency. As for the acceleration figures, the entry model is at 6.1 seconds, the XDrive40, and here the XDrive50. This is the one with the bigger battery already. Acceleration figures of 1 kilometer or 62 miles an hour, 4.6 seconds. Dual motors, of course, front and rear. It's already quite powerful. And here is a comparison. We have the iX in white, just as it appears outside. It's always good to see the different colors than really, in real daytime light. Or what about a blue one? Here also with a roof box and a bike carrier at the rear. Depending on where the light comes from, this blue looks a little bit darker, for example here. But when there's more light, the color appears a little bit more matte, I would say. Turning indicators look like this. Looks actually quite cool. And that's how it looks like in the rear. And here you can also see a nice comparison between the wheels. Here you can see the 22-inch wheels in black, and directly next to it, at the blue vehicle then, there are the 22-inch wheels in the bright styling. Well, me personally, I don't need the roof box, but the blue exterior color here, yeah, of course, Thomas Blue. That's my way to go. This is also my favorite and recommended spec. Here, white exterior or the blue exterior, and then the Oyster interior, so either white or blue white. Yeah, I would also pick white, but here the blue white, greater contrast. And these are the Sensatec seats in the bright style. Oyster, you can see that it's the Sensatec seat because it has this asymmetric touch here, and it's also perforated. That means in the iX you can also get ventilated Sensatec seats, and that is of course the best choice because they can also keep you cool in summer, although you have a surface which you can wipe clean easier. Well, and you cannot open the hood yourself, but that's what's under the hood here in the cutaway model. For example, also a 12-volt starter battery. So actually to wake up the big battery, so even the electric vehicles need the small 12-volt batteries. And here I have one cell module. This is 0.2 kilowatt. And interesting is then 500 of these are packed here in the battery pack. So 0.2 times 500 is then the 105 kilowatt hour battery for the bigger model. So something around 600 kilometers or 370 miles is the official figure. Will we reach that? We will try exactly that today in the driving part. There is also a smaller battery for the smaller model at 71 kilowatt hours. This one somewhere than 400 kilometers, 250 miles. Of course, a little bit cheaper. The price difference is around 20,000 euros, so at least 100,000 euros or dollars than for the bigger model XDrive50. And recharging, wow, that thing is huge. 11 kilowatt AC and 150 kilowatt DC for the small battery, and here for the big battery 195 kilowatt. And now I have the official permission to damage a double kidney of a BMW. Why? I show you right here. So you can see here we have a scratch, and it's even that deep that I can really feel it with my finger. And the thing is, there's an additional PU layer, so polyurethane layer, on top of it with a memory function. And now we have two possibilities. Either put the car out to the sun, maybe you live in Texas or in Spain or in Italy in summertime, then it's hot enough. You need 30 degrees Celsius or temperatures in the 80s or something, 90s in Fahrenheit, or use a hairdryer on the car on the double kidney. Wow, it's actually already gone. I mean, it's kind of course, a little bit hot, but I can't feel anything anymore. So before I could really feel the scratch, the depth of the scratch, and now it's kind of like a completely, slick surface again. And here, one more time, once again, really visible scratch, and then the hairdryer action. And it's gone. You can actually just open the vehicle with your smartphone and then just approach it, and it's basically automatically open. And then door closing sound is, it's frameless door, so it's not that sophisticated actually. Yeah, we know you can use your smartphone as a key, but I would rather stick with the classic key fob. It looks quite fancy and is also pretty light. Then inside of the doors, here with microfiber, so it's really cool and very soft. Then these seat controls are at the inside of the doors. We know it from Mercedes that here they are still, movable, so have kind of feedback. It's not the most practical thing. I think it's rather practical to have it at the lower part of the seat. And also there are reflections. This looks cool from the crystalline layout, but when the sun is coming, from the outside, it can blind you while driving, so that's actually not that good. But gladly, the crystalline applications are an option. So this is how it would look from the base model. It looks also quite stylish and elegant, and I would really recommend to stick with these because they are not blinding you. So the other one look more fancy something, but these ones are definitely more practical. Here we can see the CFK carbon fiber reinforced plastics parts of the chassis, pretty cool. And then here in this seam here we have a mix of fabric and microfiber, and there's also 15% wool share in there. Not sure why this was really necessary, because you could have also just made it completely animal free. For this, just 15%, doesn't make so much sense. And here a detailed portrait of the interior spec with the Oyster Sensatec seats. Here you have a bright inside of the doors. Then also these standard buttons, which are not glaring. Then they kept the dark dashboard because this is not reflecting in the windscreen, although they say, a bright dashboard would look cool, but it's just too glaring, definitely. And then the Sensatec seats, so animal free here, the asymmetric shape and also perforated. Ventilation is possible, and the quality is also really, really high, so no one could actually tell if it's animal source or not, but these ones here, of course, less CO2 emissions, less harm of animals and of humans, so this is also way to go then. And the cool thing is, seats as shown here are standard equipment for the BMW iX. Alternatively, without any extra price, you can get these Sensatec seats also in brown or black, perforated again, and then as an option each, the ventilation. For the steering wheel, however, they do not offer any animal skin alternative yet. Seating position, nice, upright, very comfortable steering wheel, up and down, in and out, electric control, and you have a very good panoramic view to the front, really open space atmosphere. That's the main difference, for example, to an X5, X6, X7, this cockpit layout. And here in the second interior we also have the rubber floor mats, so for more rugged use, you know, like a holiday trip or something which can get muddy. So yeah, and for rugged floor mats they also look quite fancy. Interior overview, really unique styling, definitely looks like from a concept vehicle, but it's able, you know, to drive and to be bought right now. The screen's 14.9 on the right side, 12.3 inch on the left side, and this, you know, kind of like free floating middle console, and also the steering wheel. So everything really with a unique setup. I think they've done a good job to have a differentiation here on the market. And what about the ambient lighting? Well, they didn't put too much in the central part. It's rather at the sides. You see here the speakers inside of the doors. Also here at the rear, at the inside of the doors. At the rear it's even more actually. You can see here this light strip here at the inside window also has a reflection in the glass. That's actually quite fancy. Wow, that looks really cool. Let's take a look at the driver's side. There are the same things happening, and also here in the rear. So nice new ideas, definitely. But what about you? I mean, I would have wished something more ambient lighting, not only in the floor right there, but also, you know, in the top parts somewhere, you know. But what's your take on that? Completely new steering wheel, very unique form, but looks actually quite fancy. And the coolest thing to me is you still have hard buttons here, for example, for setting the cruise control. On the right side for the digital instruments. Yes, there are also some capacitive buttons on it, but at least they kept a mix. These are infrared sensors here. They are visible for the camera, but not for the human eye. Interesting here that these displays, this, you know, how it normally looks, and then you can also change things here. For example, you can change the whole layout. So this is possible like this, or like this, or then the contents here. So for example, you can have you know, like range, or here then GPS view in it. Overall, you get along with that quite well. And head-up display, I picked a place here where you can also see the visualization of the map guidance. So it's a very nice option, especially then when you see some GPS guidance there. As for the infotainment system, OS8, operating system 8, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it looks fancy, definitely. This is the map. This looks kind of familiar for BMW. And you also have another main menu. You can access it right here, but from the looks, this is more like 90s, isn't it? You know, like it's like, I don't know, like Windows 95. Sorry about that, BMW OS engineers, but it's true, isn't it? Tell me in the comments. And I think overall it's not such an easy system to get along with. I think it is more complicated than the system you had before. I really loved the OS7. I think it was also better than OS6. But this one here, I think, is a step backwards. It has more functionality. At the same time, it's more complicated. CarPlay integration is really cool, all over the screen right here. And then let's listen to this optional Bowers & Wilkins sound system. Wow. Yeah, that's really crystal clear, and you know, there's a very big resonance room here, definitely with the vehicle. So that's definitely very cool. So let's go back to the BMW system right here. And about the climate changing thing, yeah, I mean, here you can always have it at this point. It's okay. Still, manual climate dials are better. And then for seat heating and steering wheel heating here, for example, who thought about this? I mean, it's like, look at that and tell me immediately, like, what shall I do now? You know, like, so I don't really get it that much. Voice control, drive me to Berlin.
I found several destinations.
Yeah,
Which
that
one
works. But what about the temperature, for example, as an alternative? Set temperature to 21 degrees.
I will set the temperature to 21 degrees Celsius for the driver.
So that worked. Oh, and also recognize it for the driver, you know. If you are a BMW customer and know the OS7 from a recent vehicle, you are missing exactly, yeah, what? Menu, media, tail, nav, and then there's nothing below. There's no car menu. And this is so unpractical. I always want to access the car options there. In this case, you have to go to this menu and then go to live, yeah, that's the thing about the system, live vehicle. This is kind of the car menu now. Why have they made it more complicated? By the way, so if you press to the top here, then you have the iconic sounds option off. So there you can deactivate the iconic sounds. And I really have to say, after a while, I did deactivate them. But even more annoying, the turning off or the startup sound. There we go. Yeah, also composed by Hans Zimmer. But yeah, I mean, we know he's a great, majestic songwriter. But this sound, not so in love with that, are you? And this B&O system has 30 speakers and even a 4D function. And here you can set it also how strong it shall be. And then you kind of feel some vibration here, especially in this area at the seat, so at your lower back, I would say. So that it makes sense to go for this very expensive sound system. It's 5,000 euros extra for the 30 speaker B&O sound system with the 4D sound. Well, this vibration in the back, it's not really necessary. To me, it was kind of a little bit annoying. And also the sound was good, but not 5,000 euros good, you know. The Burmester sound system from Mercedes is way better indeed. So, and for this vehicle here, you go 12 speaker bass, 18 speaker Harman Kardon, 30 speaker Bowers & Wilkins. Yeah, I would go either with the bass system to save money, or then go one step further for the Harman Kardon system to get a little bit more sophisticated sound. But this extra price here for the Bowers & Wilkins system is not justified. There's this automatic parking button right here, and there's even more to discover because they're not only the cameras, and they're actually in very good resolution. So you can also switch it around. Which one do you want to have? So in here with more, you have a 3D view as well. So yeah, you can browse around the view. Yeah, we are surrounded by iX vehicles here. Oh, this is the white one next to us. That looks a little bit weirdly big. But what I want to show you here actually is an even more fun feature. So this here car wash view. And there you can, that you don't damage the alloys. Here, the camera cleaning function. You have to have the doors closed and the ignition on, and then you can clean front, rear, or both cameras at the same time, and that looks amazing. Yes, that's the cleaning function of the front camera, and you saw how it comes out. Yep, and that rear wiping function looked even more spectacular, didn't it? Pretty cool that you have this open middle console here in the front. So there's, transition here, for example, for your suction mounts. And then we have cup holders. They're also adaptive here in the front. And you can put a smartphone actually then up here. No, it doesn't fall through because they're being kept right here. And you maybe know from the X5 or 5 series here in the inductive charging pad, it gets too hot, especially iPhones. But here, they have now introduced a cooling for that inductive charging pad, so they suck away the hot air, and you can literally hear that as well when you put a phone on that one here, and then listen really carefully. Oh, there's Schmoozy. Then actually you can hear a soft ventilation going. And then this top console, also this crystalline turning and pressing knob. It's good to have that because then you don't have to do everything via touch while driving. To change the driving modes is like here, these are like capacitive buttons, but inside the matte wood. That's a cool idea. It's better than the fingerprint thing with the high gloss black. But still, to get to this point here while driving is a little bit distracting. And here, there you can see what I mean. This is not only on camera, it does blind you definitely. And the same happens with the inside of the doors with these controls for the seats. So it looks super fancy, and I mean, it also looks amazing when it's blinding by the light here. But then again, while driving, not that pleasant. So you do not get the crystalline lever right there, which is also in a way better because it's less blinding. The only thing is you do not get the nice matte wood underlay for that. So this of course is more this high gloss black thing. Doesn't look that fancy, but still, no glare would be priority one for me. And by the way, here, this standard turning and pressing pad, it actually gives you a better control feeling. It's not flickering on a human eye, by the way, here. So this one here is really better to control the vehicle. It just gives a more precise feeling when controlling. Interesting. Shifting lever, and again, this just only on flickers on camera. So like this, D mode, B mode is then for more recuperation, D with automatic recuperation. How that works, explaining you while driving. So it's actually an easy solution, and again, this crystalline work. This one does not blind, you know, so much because, yeah, kind of probably the angle that is set in. And then we have this split middle armrest with some more space. When you look here from above, you hardly see the opener for the glove box. It is actually hidden right here. There we go, and yeah, it's quite shallow. A nice detail here also, the frameless back mirror. And then we have the electrochromatic sunroof, which is really amazing. Look at that. This is then looking through, and this is then for more sun covering. Wow, really amazing. And when you look through it and the sun is behind it, then it looks like in Dune, you know, like with this, you know, very yellowish perspective on the sun and so on. So yeah, the kids will love to play around with that. Here, there's the button up top there. Magic. And here we go, there's the sun through the panoramic roof, and then let's make it Arrakis. Ooh. On the passenger side door, you can also put a smartphone here, kind of like, you know, next to the door handle. Interesting idea, however, if something very small falls in there, it's lost. By the way, to get out again, you have your hand here and kind of like press with the thumb here. It's quite unusual, but it's, yeah, a nice tactile experience. Rear doors also with the same nice and soft microfiber. That's pretty cool. And then, for example, you have options like a, you know, proper jacket hanger here. You don't have to go for it, but you can. 2 USB-C chargers. Of course, when someone is sitting in the back, I would rather remove that actually. And then also the same kind of asymmetric microfiber fabric setup that looks lovely. Also in the rear, this console is rather free floating. Here temperature control rather classic, as we know it from other BMW generations, and here also space and no middle tunnel at all. That shows that this platform, this chassis was purpose built indeed for this EV. Middle armrest with fabric, and then you can release these cup holders here. And plenty of space here in the rear, a lot of legroom, headroom also really a lot. So remember, this one here is flatter than the BMW X6. It's almost comparable in length, you know, with the X5. But I mean, so much space. This is really using this EV platform, and of course also on the middle seat, 5 tall adults, no problem, no middle tunnel here whatsoever. Yeah, that's really good. The only thing is you can actually fold the seat, the bench from here, release it here. But then again, that's the only thing you can do. You cannot adjust the angle or something. However, it has a good angle, and it's also very comfortable here to sit in the back. And yeah, going through with this whole bench, it's actually really nice to cuddle here as well, I would suppose. And one more look how the Oyster Sensatec interior looks in the rear. There's also here an iPad holder available like this. In general, I think just the bright interior rocks in the styling. There is no frunk, and the trunk has 500 up to 1,750 liters. See here the height for backpacks, no problem. You can of course also remove the whole thing just with a little force. Then let's put it out like this. The length here at 1 meter or 40 inches here with my nice new black ruler, and here you can see the width is more than 1 meter or 40 inches. So yeah, it's like 1 meters 5 or like 41, 42 inches. So that's actually really good. The height then here to the cover 47 centimeters or 19 inches, and the overall height is 75 centimeters or 30 inches. So very well usable. It could be maybe, you know, a little bit less shallow here. Then again, we have an even loading sill, and underneath space for the charging cables, and also has this clicking in effect. So overall, I think I'm quite happy with it. Right and left flipping is possible here from the right side. That's a very good function, and you see it folds really flat. So a very well usable SUV, definitely. And here you can reach that 2 meter or 78 inches mark easily. Agile driving first before the regular driving lounge. Let's go. That was 0 to 60 kilometers an hour. Wow, that went quick. Super powerful here, this XDrive50 version. Yeah, a lot of fun, and also very direct steering here. And the batteries in the lower part of the vehicle centralized, as we saw earlier. This brings a lot of agility, plus the rear axis steering, so the car feels smaller and more agile and lighter than it actually is. That acceleration was even uphill, so even more impressive. And now, even more uphill performance and agile driving. We're driving up the Obersalzberg, yes, the Obersalzberg, where Hitler had his Berghof. And well, this region luckily turned from terror to tourism and from pain to pleasure, because it's such a beautiful area. And they also have a documentation center right here to show, you know, what has happened, and of course that this never happens again. So we can go out, enjoy some car reviews. So here we go. Great agile driving. Wow. Due to the rear axis steering, it really feels more agile, and this is also a main difference then to the combustion engine brothers like the BMW X5, X6, X7. Due to the low center of gravity, this feels so much more agile. It doesn't feel like a full-size SUV almost, and wow, having so much fun. Would never have so much agile driving fun here in a combustion engine SUV at that size. This is really, these tires are also hooking up so great. I mean, it's huge, and it feels and drives like a go-kart and has always more power. And this is also a major difference to a Tesla Model X. This one here is so much better in the agile driving. Yes, the Tesla has other big advantages, definitely. And we also have, of course, an extensive review of that. But in the agile driving fun, wow, this one is probably now king of the big SUVs. But there's more, so much more to tell you about this vehicle in the normal Thomas's driving lounge. And you can already see here camera image, and we have the augmented reality function, so the arrows then that are showing me where to take the next exit and the turn and so on. And the first thing that comes to your mind is it's extremely silent in here. So we were skeptical before because there's no dual insulation glass at the side, but indeed that doesn't seem to matter. It's extremely silent in here, and probably the most silent drive in a BMW car overall yet, and they are very well insulated, you know. So this is extremely impressive how silent this vehicle is. Yeah, I mean, we'll soon also drive a little bit faster on the motorway, German Autobahn, and see how that one turns out. The augmented reality arrow functions we've already seen there are also quite promising already. And here at a speed of about 70 kilometers an hour, so like 40 miles an hour or something. Once again, great noise insulation and a super calm atmosphere. Indeed, this car here has a completely different atmosphere. It's nothing like you know from BMW before. This is really this open space. You have a traveling feeling, but it's not that it's like too long in the front. You have the upright seating position, very comfortable. Also here on these, fabric microfiber mixed seats, really upright window graphic here, so you have a good view to the side. So this is a very, very good travel vehicle indeed from the whole, experience you get to know right here. You know that we have the batteries in the central floor, and this is a so-called purpose-built vehicle. BMW calls it that way because it is built for the purpose of being an EV, and that's why the chassis is also unique to this one. Of course, they also use similar parts from the other big vehicles for the individual parts, but the chassis is really built on this one. And Yeah, we know it from the crystalline shifting lever, by the way, from the X7 or something. And here on the inside, these crystalline door controls, they are blinding you, definitely. And I'm really thinking about, what's the sense of that, and also this, part in the middle. But so when you have sun glare from the outside, you sometimes think, oh, did the speed camera hit me or something? Because here at this side, then the door control, yeah. That's definitely something they must have seen when they were test driving these cars. They do it for thousands of kilometers or miles, and no one has realized it, or the designer said like, yeah, we don't care. It looks kick-ass, so keep it in. Maybe that's the thing then. I don't know. By the way, I think on camera, yeah, I'm not sure. If that screen might be flickering on the camera here, it's just the camera then, so that has nothing to do then that you would see that with your own eyes, so that it's, in that way or something. Oh yeah, yeah, that's the thing here with gesture control. When you're using gestures without intentionally having some gestures, then sometimes something is activated. So that's the disadvantage of gesture control here. So we have a little bit space behind us, so we can show you a first acceleration. And let's see. So we always have the same power, by the way. So you don't have to pick in a different driving modes, but you can, for example, go to sports mode if you like, and then power it a little bit up from the throttle input. So from 45 kilometers an hour, let's go. Plop, 105. That was 110. Wow. I mean, this is like a 2.5 ton SUV with that big battery pack, and whew, it was really like instant acceleration, and there will be more to come, with the later version. We also keep you updated here on Autogefuehl, but this one here, of course, 2 motors, 1 front, 1 in the rear. Wow, really impressive. Rear wheel bias, definitely, we felt that. So the rear electric motor is always the stronger one, and you still keep this, BMW characteristic rear wheel drive. And here, by the way, in a slalom, again, it's a high SUV, but it feels so much sportier than the combustion engine models, because BMW X5, X6 and so on would be the comparable models size-wise, and due to the low center of gravity, this feels so much sportier. Steering wheel, by the way, here is a little bit, light, but it's not that unnatural, and then becomes a little bit more, a little bit tighter to the outside. So it's a pretty direct steering feel indeed, and slalom is indeed a lot of fun. The car doesn't shake up too much, however, it's not too stiff. So you have air suspension on both axles here, of course, and that's also a good decision. You have good comfort. At the same time, here in the sports mode, for example, the suspension is tuned a little bit stiffer, So what does happen in sport mode? First of all, throttle input, it's just more aggressive then. So for little personal throttle, directly good acceleration. Then the suspension, air suspension, is set on a stiffer note. However, you do not get more power by this. So that's the thing that sometimes happens in electric vehicles, but it's not the case right here. So just the input is being changed, but you do not get more power with it. You can also already access the maximum power just by the normal driving modes. So this is also possible. Very, very interesting, definitely indeed. So when we switch back here to the My Mode selector and go just the normal driving modes, you can also set personal settings. Also very interesting visualizations right there. Then you feel the suspension is a little bit softer. Also here when I'm doing like in the slalom, but you feel also due to the rear axle steering, which is also equipped with this vehicle. So air suspension and rear axle steering is basically an option. From the market start, they are included in the XDrive50, but later on you can also get like XDrive50 without these, so this option to get it a little bit, to get the big battery, but then not the most expensive price. Not pick everything kind of. But here, due to the rear axle steering, I mean, it doesn't feel at all that you would be steering like a big SUV. It's, by the way, very, really funny in the comments. I'm looking forward to that, guys. When I say like, and the big SUV, a big SUV, and sometimes I get comments like, oh, that sounds like big as SUV. I love these comments. Yeah, looking forward to these in this time. Not sure if you heard that before, or yeah, maybe now, you know, when I'm saying it, you're always thinking of that. You know, that was the same. Like, do you remember with the Mercedes S-Class in the previous generation, and you had this clown's face steering wheel, and someone said, "Oh, that looks like a clown's face," and then from this point on, everyone looked at the steering wheel and was like, "No, he's right. It's a clown's face," and then everyone is seeing it. But here, I don't see any face at all. It's a unique steering wheel, definitely. Has a very, you know, interesting octagon shape, and yeah, it brings a new, unique driving experience here to BMW. I'm not sure if it's really necessary that it's like, you know, so wide here on the top part, but it's actually, you know, a lot of fun, and I really appreciate that they didn't leave out this part here to make it the Tesla yoke system. Yeah, I haven't driven it yet, but just from, you know, knowing that here, for example, sometimes you maybe want to touch there or something. So some say yoke is a joke, and I have to say, you know, I'm not sure if I will agree to this when we drive the Tesla Model S or Tesla Model X, and also in the facelifted version with the yoke steering wheel. Yeah, we'll definitely keep you updated with that. So now we're switching sides here. I think I have right of way. Yes, whoa. Yeah, the acceleration comes really strong, but at the same time, it comes in a very, very smooth way, you know. So it's really hard to. It's like smooth power. It's super powerful, but at the same time, you have the feeling as it would be, yeah, like a natural power evolution or something. And that's really astonishing, because with most electric vehicles, you get really great power, but it doesn't feel natural at all. And I wonder, you know, this is quite a big achievement here, that they have a powerful electric vehicle which has this, you know, more natural acceleration feeling. That's actually quite interesting, definitely. Roundabout visibility, by the way, to the rear, to the sides, actually very decent. So we have, you know, we've had some cars that, you know, that new cars are really not that good as for that. But here I really have to say it's a very good overview, considering it looks also so design focused from the exterior. Very good overview from the inside to the outside. Well, and now I've activated the so-called iconic sounds in the infotainment system. We have a special feature of that together with Hans Zimmer. Now in the normal driving mode, not sure how it is picked up on camera. Just listen to that when I do acceleration now. You heard that like so, and let's now switch to the driving mode again, sport mode. Let's see if that's kind of like enhanced. Yeah, a little bit, you know, like this. So it's not, you know, that it's extremely present. You do hear that. Is it good or bad? I think it can help in a way that, you know, when these G-forces applied here in the electric vehicles, sometimes your body doesn't cope. And when you have this sound connection, the body can cope a little bit better with it. Of course, if you have passengers, then of course it's always better to keep it a little bit more subtle with the electric vehicles, and don't accelerate and don't recuperate that harshly. So, and this is also something here with recuperation. Now, for example, there's a truck in front of me. I'm in the D mode, I get off the throttle, and now some rolling is happening. I'm getting closer to the truck. Some recuperation there is, you know, I see it right there. So, and this is, for example, different when there's no one in front of me, then the car would just be rolling. This is this automatic recuperation mode by BMW, which is working very well, I have to say. I really like this function because it is connecting GPS data and camera data. So when there's a car in front of you, there's recuperation happening. We see it right here. And also when the GPS data indicates like, you know, there's like intersection coming or there's a roundabout coming, then also speed is being reduced by recuperation actually. You can, however, also go to the B mode here with the shifting lever, and then there's always recuperation when you lift the throttle, and quite strong one. So then you indeed get to a one pedal driving feeling. and depending on, you know, the strength of that, also the brake lights are being flashed. So when I get a throttle here, whoa, yeah, directly very strong recuperation. And that's what you want to have when you have the one pedal driving when you want to have the one pedal driving feeling. So you can choose, and that's a good thing. You can both have one pedal driving feeling, but also this automatic recuperation. And in a way, that's also a good thing to have, definitely, because sometimes the one pedal driving feeling can be a little bit annoying at times, depending on your driving profile. In other times, you know, it's very good because it's also safer, because when the car is in front of you, you get off the throttle and you immediately have some recuperation. But in that way here, the automatic recuperation, which is kind of, you know, combining these features in an intelligent way, this is then, yeah, you know, somehow combining both worlds, so to speak. And yeah, I think that's also then a good choice to have. By the way, first consumption average at the moment at 17 kilowatt hours on 1 kilometer, so that's 27 kilowatt hours on 100 miles. And considering the big battery of 105 kilowatt hours, that would indeed come to the, you know, close to the official figure of 600 kilometers or 370 miles of range. Very interesting. And now acceleration from 90 kilometers an hour. Let's go. Top speed 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour, electronically limited, and that went super quick. Yeah, at 190 kilometers an hour it kind of slowed down, but other than that, wow, this is like, oh, and the current consumption figure is like close to 50 kilowatt hours on 100 kilometers. So that would mean straight road I could drive, yeah. It's very interesting. I could drive like 200 kilometers or 125 miles with top speed 200 kilometers or 125. That's interesting. It would really mean I could drive 200 kilometers an hour for 200 kilometers or 125 miles an hour for 125 miles. Interesting. That's not even, I mean, it's hard to see, you know, like when the road is going a little bit downhill, that already changes the effect and so on. But that's still actually a quite decent result, and also the result I stated before. So we had it a lot that with the German premium manufacturers, their electric vehicles were not that efficient. But the Mercedes EQS recently showed otherwise. The EQE will also be quite efficient then. And here the BMW iX so far also makes a very efficient impression. And it also has, you know, it doesn't have a high wind resistance, and the reason is also because the roof is falling down a little bit, and also from the rear it's going like this. And this reduces the wind resistance. And here, I mean, noise insulation wise, again, at about 150 kilometers an hour, it's like nothing. You know, it feels like I would be driving slowly through the city. 160 kilometers an hour now. Only in Germany, where you then still get overtaken with 160 kilometers an hour. This is amazing. I mean, wow. This is like, you know, we're here at 100 miles per hour, and there's hardly any wind noise picking up, and the car is so stable. Here, sports mode here, adaptive air suspension. Now I'm getting on the brakes, by the way, but there's first all the recuperation being used, and then the brakes, you know. So even if you hit the brake pedal first, they use all the regeneration. And that's also the reason why the brake disc, showing you that on the outside, are super small for a vehicle of that size, actually. Yeah, really impressed now. And even if you are at speed, you can still, now at 130 kilometers an hour, you know, so like 70, 80 miles an hour, and bam, there's still such a harsh acceleration possible. And once again, top speed. Wow, super impressed by that. And here at 200 kilometers an hour, 125 miles an hour, there's not even harsh wind noise. I mean, how did they do that? And also without the dual insulation glass. Now hard and regeneration. There the figure, oh, there's the Alpina XD4. So BMW X4 is Alpina tuned version, but yeah, that's kind of like the old tuning system. This one is the new one, and we can I think, easily keep up with that one, you know, acceleration-wise. Wow. I mean, recuperation figure, by the way, here, 200 kilowatt. So you can very quickly recharge this car with going down a hill or hammering the brakes then. This is also pretty impressive, of course. And here I think the sound connection here from this Hans Zimmer sound design really helps you also to get something of a connection to the vehicle, you know. But at the same time, told you, you can also cancel that. Assistant systems here, blind spot monitor with the yellow triangle then in the side mirror. And here, when that's interesting. Okay, so I have to, so he started the automatic lane change and whoa. Okay, and then he was dropping speed now and someone came from the rear. That was not that convincing now. Let's try that again. I mean, let's give the car another chance. So first of all, cruise control, adaptive cruise control, distance to the car in front of us is being kept. Also the lane is being kept automatically in a very smooth way. Here now, reducing the speed. So I want to have the automatic lane change now. There we go. Yeah, so that way. I didn't turn the steering wheel, that was the car itself, you know, so let's see if, I don't even have to hold it. So here, so I just have to tap the turning indicator and then the car does it. Not sure, like the first time, the car wasn't really like, you know, getting to speed fast enough and I was seeing that someone came from behind. So they see also the limitations of these systems. They work very well, but they don't cope with, yeah, when you can't do that way. So you have to hold it basically. Just tap it, yeah, tap it. See, this is kind of a problem, you know, when you do this automatic lane change thing, and then the adaptive cruise control catches the truck in front of you at the same time. It also reduces speed, but then it also does a lane change, and lane change while reducing speed is of course not a good thing, you know. So yeah, in these situations you see that the human lane change is still kind of the better, the smoother one, but the system itself does work. So, you know, you just have to start a little bit earlier than, for example, and here there's a car in front of us and then I started basically early enough, then there's also no problem with that. Yeah, but it's also good to know the limits of these, adaptive or assistant systems. But in general, the whole integration of the assistant systems, everything is very smooth. So also how the steering, the active steering assist and so on, it really does it in a very subtle way without you would be feeling too annoyed or something. But the thing is, of course, also this car is so much fun to drive yourself, although it's that big. Most of the time I would just drive it myself. But of course, setting the cruise control and the distance to the car in front of you is being kept, this is one of the most helpful features, definitely. And good to have like the physical button here to control the speed. It's like a slide press 1 kilometer in the front and a harder press 10 kilometer steps. Then up or down, and really good to have the hard physical button then here to do that on the steering wheel. Here once again in the D, automatic recuperation mode, cars in front of it. What is this? I mean, I'm keeping a safety distance here to the car in front of us. I mean, we're driving super fast on the motorway, and this is no war field, you know, or no battlefield. And this guy overtaking a ride, which is not allowed in Germany, by the way, or allowed in the US, not in Germany, and getting into the security distance. I mean, what is this, you know? So, and cars in front of us are braking. I mean, sure, I go to 200 and then hit the back of them or what? Some people really think this is like a battlefield, you know. And did you know, by the way, why people react in such a harsh way when they are on the road in their vehicle? It's like a thing in our brain, because when someone is kind of like, you know, coming close to you, you know, with another car to your car, it kind of attaches to our core instincts, you know, for example, of privacy. So when someone is kind of, you know, intruding your own vehicle surrounding, coming too close to you and so on, or putting the horn on you, putting pressure on you, it's kind of like the same for the brain, like when someone knocks on your door, you're sitting on the sofa watching some Autogefuehl episodes and someone just comes in and sits next to you and saying like, hey, go away. You know, this again the same. It invades our privacy because our own car for our brain is our privacy, like we're sitting at home. That's the reason why there are so many battles on the roads. We are not taking part of this. We are doing performance driving, but always when we have safety first. And this vehicle here is helping you with that because it has the power, but it also shows you or tells you, I do not have to use this power. It is super powerful and you can go great accelerations, but it also makes everything so calming and relaxing and so on. Wow, I'm really impressed with driving this one. So many things they have done right here. Comfort is great, traveling feeling is great, acceleration is great, noise insulation is great, the driving dynamics, great, the compromise of sportiness and comfort is great, and the efficiency is also there. Both when we have, like the normal steady driving and also then that even, figures for high-speed driving. I know you guys love that. So driving-wise, yeah, we can just say top notch. And another range test from different environment, like slower motorway driving, like 100 kilometers an hour, 60 miles an hour, and countryside driving, mainly countryside driving with some 70, 80 kilometers an hour, so like 50 miles an hour. And this one results here in 19 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, so like something 30 kilowatt hours per 100 miles. This then means some 550 kilometers of range or some 350 miles of range. And now compare our reviews of the Tesla Model X or of the Audi e-tron SUV.